Hey everybody, KC0VI Tom, along with Mr. Duke here. We're it's quite warm here today. We're about into the second, start of the third week of this heat wave that's hitting the Midwest, and it's really different here. Yesterday we had a high of 88 here in St. Ansgar. Today we're talking 90. The big problem for us here in the Midwest, we're not used to the high dew points. Dew points are in the 70s. I think right now it's like 72 degrees on the dew point, which is unusual for us. And another thing that's really unusual, you get up north Minnesota and in the southern part of Canada, it's warmer up there. Yesterday, they had a high at Ely of 99 degrees. International Falls is around 100 degrees. Then when you get on the Canadian side of the border, it's even hotter. 104 is what they're finding in some places, the highest, what I saw so far. Forest fires are running pretty bad up there, and this morning, the Boundary Water Canoe area was shut down by the Forest Service. They want to concentrate on getting the fires out. Right now, or the other day, they were actually splitting their forces on removing people from the endangered area and fighting the fire. Well, now it's just, they told everybody, you can't go in, and you're in there, you got to get out. They're putting everybody they have on the fire line. So it is not common for this type of weather here in the Midwest. It is not unusual. Every once in a while, it does happen like this. I've already seen people on social media stating it's global warming, we're all going to die. No, it's not. If you go look in the record books in the 1800s, the late 1800s, it was a couple of really dry summers here in the Midwest. A lot of forest fires up north, a lot of grass fires down south here in the prairies. It happens. If you're ever in the Hinckley, Minnesota area, check out the Fire Museum. It is a very interesting museum about some of the wildfires they had up in northern Minnesota. Very well documented on some of the towns, small towns that are just gone. The firestorm come racing in. Some people got out. Some people thought it was the end of the world, so they gathered in the local churches, and it just burnt the whole town out, and these towns were never replaced or never rebuilt. There are a lot of documented stories of rescues taking place up there. One I remember is a small town, the train came in, everybody got on the train. There wasn't time to pull the engine off and run it to the back of the train, so they just put the train in reverse. Then they got men in the train cars get up on top with brooms because the hot embers were falling on the train cars and starting them on fire, so they had men up there putting the fire out on the train. So it's very interesting museum if you ever get up there. Today we want to talk about connecting your RV to shore power at somebody's house. Due to the fact this summer, the high price of fuel, gasoline and diesel fuel, has caused a lot of problems here, not only in the RV industry, but also in the general economy. People don't realize that when you jack the price of fuel up, say crude oil especially, hauling the raw material from point A to a production plant, then from the production plant to a assembly plant, then to the consumer's purchase area, you're seeing multiple hits on high price of fuel. And that's not counting the price of crude oil that we're using to make plastic. Everything is increasing due to that jack in crude oil price. So one thing I've seen it happen this year is back in the springtime during the RV shows down south, we normally get a big spike in new sales of RVs. It didn't happen. We had a little spike and it just kind of petered off. Even right now, sales of new RVs are pretty off. I mean, it's bad. A lot of the manufacturers are shut down for 2 weeks at the 4th of July. Some are talking again, shutting down later on over Memorial Day weekend. No, that was spring. Labor Day weekend's coming up in the fall. I get those two mixed up. Some production lines have already ceased production of that particular model, and they're retooling for a new model because they have so many of these old models on the floor. And used RV market right now is just unbelievable. There's so many RVs, used ones on the market. Even when I drive around here in North Iowa, southern Minnesota, the number of RVs, campers parked in people's driveways for sale signs on them is just unbelievable. It's really expensive to take the thing out for camping. A lot of people are, instead of doing 5-6 trips and a long trip during the summer, are backing off just one long one. Or what I'm seeing a lot are people are going to a friend's house, family house, spending a long weekend there, or a week at another house. So unfortunately, that's what we're seeing. And it's a buyer's market on the used market. I got a heck of a deal on the 2015 Thor. I still have the 2022 Tab 320. It is a nice little camper. It's just, I'm too big for it. The couple that first bought it new, They found out that she was not a camper. She was more of a hotel person on trips. They sold to me, and I thought I could get into it, but I'm just too big and clumsy. Heck, if you want a nice camper, contact me, and I'll shoot you a heck of a price on it. It is on Facebook Marketplace. It's not 28 million. I'm starting out at, but had the decimal point in the wrong spot. But I mean, I'm not worried about it. I'll know I'm going to sell it either this fall or next spring, and when the market gets better, and I can sit on it. But like I said, what I'm seeing now on social media, and even I got some direct contact. You want to get down? You're getting warm. On these, when you go to a friend's house or a family member's house, and you want to plug your rig into an outlet in the garage, they'll, I'll get a text or I'll see on social posting says, "Hey, I'm at my buddy's garage, and here's a picture of the outlet. Can I plug my rig into it?" And it's interesting watching some of the response they get. And my normal response is no, maybe, yes. Or yes, no, maybe, no, maybe, yes. There's a lot of variables in there. And what we'll do, let's take a look at the different types of outlets you're going to come across when you're owning an RV or rig. This is the most common type of 120 volt outlet in North America in homes and garages. It's 120 volts, 20 amps, or 15 amps. If it's a 20 amp circuit, it'll have 12 gauge wire feeding it. If it's a 15 amp circuit, it'll have 14 gauge wire feeding it. It's real important to read that breaker when you find it in the breaker panel. If you take the meter and measure between the hot and the neutral, the hot is the hot side, that's the black wire. The neutral would be white. The ground is green or bare copper. It's real important to know which one is which and when you wire it up to do it correctly. This is a 30 amp 120 volt outlet, RV style. The 245 openings on the bottom, one is L1, which would be a black wire, that's your hot side. The other one is neutral or a white wire. The very top opening is the ground or green or bare copper. Again, this is only 120 volts. This is a 240 volt 50 amp RV circuit. The two vertical openings are at leg 1, which would be black, leg 2, which would be red. The bottom one is your neutral, which would be white, and the top one would be the ground, which would be green or bare copper. Very important that you know what these are like. This is a dog bone that converts a 20 amp 120 to a 30 amp socket. Now you're not going to be able to pull 30 amps out of that outlet, just 20 amps. Again, these have a tendency to melt, so make sure that you keep an eye on it. This will go from a 50 amp 120 volts to a 30 amp socket. With one of these, you could run your rig with no problem. You're only using 1/2 of the 240 volt circuit that's coming out of that pedestal. This is a 30 amp to a 50 amp RV style circuit. This you have to be careful of because you're only be supplying power to half the circuits in the RV. So you're not going to be able to run both your air conditioner. There's going to be some lights that will not operate. This dog bone is very useful. It takes a 120 50 amp plug and turn it into two 30 amp services for two separate trailers. If you're group camping, this is going to be very useful to have. If you're boondocking and you have a generator, you're going to need one of these. Most generators have a twist lock output, so you have to have a special cord that will actually go in there and secure. Then the other end of the dog bone is a 120 volts 30 amp circuit. Most trailers will either need a surge suppressor or it's wired in. This is a low-end one. These run about $100 to $150. It has indicator lights that tell you what's wrong, if there's anything wrong. If it's all green, you're all set to go. The next level of surge suppressor has the same function as the first one, but most of these will have some type of meter movement on them, so it'll actually give you what's wrong with the unit, or it'll let you know during operations the amount of voltage and current that you're drawing. These will run from $150 to $200. The high-end ones, like this one, run from $200 and up. You'll load an app on your phone, and it has a lot of features that you can use as your monitor as you're out camping. You can also do a remote shutdown of the camper if you need to. On the 20 amp or 15 amp normal household outlet, it's in that garage. What I tell people to do is plug in a drop light or some type of light. Then go down to the breaker panel and see if it's labeled. Hopefully it is labeled, and and shut that breaker off and go in the garage, make sure that light is off. Now check around what else is in the garage. A lot of times when somebody gets a new refrigerator for the kitchen, the old refrigerator gets put out to the garage as a beer refrigerator or food, spare food. And heaven forbid we let that beer get warm. So you may have to scout around, and if there's a refrigerator on that circuit or something else, you see if you can move those over to something else, or find a different outlet for the computer or for the camper. Thing you want to do is, if it's a 20 amp circuit, get that on by itself. If there's a couple other outlets on that circuit that are nothing plugged in, what I normally do is I'll take a piece of masking tape or black tape and put over it so people don't plug in it by accident. And because the air conditioner on most rigs are going to run 15, you want to get down, okay, Mr. Duke, 15 to 16 amps, which is going to be pushing that breaker. And you got other stuff in the camper running, so you really don't want to, trip your breaker, and it's kind of a nuisance. If it is a 15 amp circuit, you're not going to be able to run your air conditioner on it. I mean, even with a soft start, you're going to be pushing the edge of that breaker. It's going to trip. So you're going to have to look around for a 20 amp circuit. Now, the next outlet is the 3-prong, the RV, 30 amp RV. One thing you guys should have out there is, it doesn't have to be an expensive meter, just a good digital voltmeter. Keep your fingers behind the finger guard on the probes. Either set the meter on top of the workbench or somewhere, have a buddy hold it, and carefully plug the leads into that 30 amp outlet, and make sure it is 120 volts between leg 1 and neutral, or leg 1 and ground. Some of those outlets that are shaped like that are actually for electric ranges, clothes dryers, and other large appliances. That's not 120, that's 240. And if you plug your 30 amp RV plug into all those outlets, you're going to have problems. You're going to electrify the outside skin of that camper. Hopefully you just trip a breaker, and hopefully you don't get anybody hurt. So again, you want to be careful on these. Now, on the larger 50 amp circuit, about 90% of our RV campers out there, the Class A's and fifth wheels and the larger C's, they don't use that 240 volts. They're always going leg 1 to neutral, leg 2 to neutral, 120 volts at 50 amps. And you got 2 of those 50 amp circuits, so you can run multiple air conditioners and other stuff in that big rig. So now that you identified the outlet in your buddy's garage or your family's garage, that you got everything that's on there off from it, you got your you want to make sure you have a heavy duty cord. If the cord on your camper is not long enough, always make sure you have a heavy duty extension cord. At least 12 gauge, 10 gauge is better. If it's over 25 feet, definitely it might be 10 gauge. If it's up to 50 feet, you may want to look at it at 8 gauge. The larger the wire, you're going to have less voltage drop on those long runs. And it also will be less heating up. 12 gauge wire pulling 30 amps, it's going to start melting that insulation or that rubber coating on it, so you want to be careful on that. So we want to make sure it's short as possible of the cord from the camper to that outlet. One thing that I always tell people to do, I do it myself, you can buy these little tubes. They look like a tube of a toothpaste for travel, and it's what we call dielectric grease. It is a petroleum product that will conduct electricity. You put it on the prongs of the plug, and it protects them from oxidation, because that oxidation will increase the resistance of that surface area. So you may have a connection that's going bad, it's heating up, it's developing melt at the end. That's why when you're all done camping and you put away your dog bones and your power cords, you always want to make sure and check those the ends of the cables, make sure they're not melted. If they are melted, get it replaced right away. So once you have all the different dog bones to make that connection to the plug, to the camper, if it's a 20 amp circuit, you're going to have to really trim back on some of your electrical use in that camper. Run the air conditioning and nothing else. Or if you have a few lights, possibly the refrigerator. If you're lucky enough that the person's house that you're at did put in an RV, a good 30 amp, 120 volt outlet, and it's got 10 gauge wire going from that socket to the breaker panel, which is, when you're building a house, drop one of those in. I mean, some towns now require that you do have a 240 volt X amount of current in the garage for electric vehicles. Yeah, I'm not keen on that when you have to force somebody to put something like that in, but it's handy. 120 volt 30 amp circuit, down the road, if you buy a camper or not, it's a selling point when you sell the house. So that, you want to make sure you, again, short as possible on that 30 amp cord. And if you have a location where you got a 50 amp circuit, there are dog bones that you can use to break down to connect to that. And there's a lot of different ones out there. I'm only going to show you the ones that I like to use because that's what my needs are. But there are some really strange ones out there to get, to hopefully get what you needed done. I'd be extremely careful on a lot of these. One thing you'll notice that some of these dog bones are not UL approved. They have not been tested for safety. So you want to make darn sure you're careful. Use them minimum amount of time, and once you don't need that anymore, make sure you unplug it. And again, each time you unplug the rig, inspect all your cables, inspect your ends, inspect the dog bones. You want to stay safe out there and enjoy camping. On that, like I said, hopefully the hot weather is going to pass and we get back to our normal temperature. It's supposed to be like 84 degrees up here, and the dew point runs in the upper 50s, lower 60 degrees. And like I said, today we're talking 90 degrees and dew point of 76 degrees. So it's going to be, muggy. And the heat index on that is somewhere in the 90s, upper 90s on that. So, but on that, I got a little work to do on the 2015 Thor. We've been out once camping already, and we got some stuff coming up this weekend, so I can't camp. One thing I got to do is get out of this mindset that I camp on the weekends. I'm retired. I can camp anytime I want. So that's what we're working on. We got to get a couple things done on that. Then hopefully the next video, soon, will be us out camping in it. So 7-3, everybody. Take care. Be sure to tell your friends, neighbors, other hams. Subscribe, hit that bell to get notification when new videos come up. Add comments below. 7-3, everybody.